Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Entrepreneur Mom. I'm your host, Velvet Briere. If you're new to my channel, please like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Please don't forget to click on the notification bell so you'll always be notified every time I upload a new video. So I want to say thank you to all you guys that have subscribed, and all my new subscribers, welcome. I hope you enjoy the content I'm putting out for you. It really just pleases my heart to know that you guys are watching my videos, sharing them, letting people know that they have ways to earn extra income from home, okay? So this video is a little different. Not going to talk about direct mail today. I was inspired by the lovely Thais Johnson. She doesn't know this, but I've been inspired by you, Thais. If you're watching this video, thank you. Your inspiration has really motivated me to finally tell my story, okay? Now, this will be a lengthy video, you guys. Not too lengthy. I'm going to try to, I'm not going to really go into too much detail, but I just decided to tell my story, and I figured, what better time to do it, okay? So, I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning. So, I was born in Riverside, California, at Riverside General Hospital. To my mom, her name was Betty Joyce Collins, and my dad's name was Vernon Davis. I never met my dad, unfortunately. So, my brother, I have four brothers. I have four brothers, okay? So my brother that's 15 years older than me, his dad was who I believe to be my dad, which he's not my dad, but he was helping my mom financially support me and my brother Stacy. So I believe him to be my dad because he stuck around and he actually helped my mom out. So I grew up in Riverside all the way up until I was 18 years old. I went to 2 different elementary schools, 2 different high schools, and 4 different colleges. So from elementary all the way up until high school, I was picked on. I don't know why. I was constantly bullied. Every time someone saw me, they would do this. They'd do the cootie shot, and it was just really silly stuff, okay? Now, in middle school, something ended up happening, okay? So in middle school, I was 12 years old at the time. I think I was 12. Yeah, I was 12, okay? I was in the 7th grade. I was 12 years old. I was in the classroom, and there was this guy, and I had shorts on, okay? Now, I'm going to be I'm not going to be too graphic, but I'm going to just be honest with you guys, okay? So, basically, I was sitting there in the class, and I guess he was looking at my legs or something, and he must have seen my underwear. Okay? And so after class, he started talking to me like, blah, 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 like your shorts or whatnot. So we started talking. Mind you, I'm 12. Okay, I'm 12 years old at the time. And so me and him ended up going to a restaurant or something, and we went into the boys' bathroom together. I went with him in the bathroom, and we started making out. And he tried to pull my pin. Now, I'm going to get to the point, okay? This is when all this started. This is pretty much, I'm going to get to it. So basically, this is where everything started, okay? So he pulled my pants down, and I pulled him back up. He pulled him down again. I pulled him back up. The next day, when I saw him, I didn't want to speak to him. He kept trying to hug up on me. I kept moving away from him. So he took it upon himself. Now, mind you, we didn't have sex. We didn't do nothing. I'm 12 at the time, okay? I'm not interested in none of that stuff. I'm only 12 years old. Like, what do I need to be doing, having sex, doing any of that, right? So he goes around the school and tells everyone that we had sex. And then I get the reputation as I'm a hoe. I'm 12 years old, and everyone's calling me a hoe. Because he lied and he got mad because he didn't get what he wanted. He told everyone around the school that I had sex with him, and I did not. So that is where the bullying started. I did not go. I wouldn't go to class. So I didn't even. The only reason I graduated the 8th grade is because I had a C and P. I had F's in all my other classes, and I told my mom, and she did not. All she said was ignore them or learn how to fight back. I was getting bullied. I mean, people would be following me, would be hitting me. I don't even want to go into it. It was not a good time at that time. It was middle school. This was at Sierra Middle School, okay? And this stopped in high school, but it went on from elementary school all the way up to high school, okay? At the time, this is middle school, okay? This started in elementary, went all the way up to high school. I'm in middle school at this point. I'm 12 years old. I'm telling my mom. All she's doing is telling me to ignore them. And then I stopped going to class because every time I go in the classroom, they would throw pencils across the room and hit me in the face. And the teachers weren't even doing anything about it. Okay? People don't understand. This is a childhood trauma that I carried with me for all the way up to high school. This is middle school at the time, okay? I told my mom. My mom was always telling me ignore them or fight back. If you get into a fight, you learn how to fight. That doesn't really help because I'm being picked on and I'm not doing nothing to these kids. They're always doing something to me. Every time I walk in the classroom, a colored pencil comes flying across the room. I never understood why, but I found out later on their reasoning behind it, okay? And I'll explain that in a minute. So I got passed on to the 9th grade. I went to Ramona High School, which is right across the street. Coincidentally, right across the street from my apartments. I live right across the street from my very first high school, Ramona High School in Riverside. So luckily, that was a blessing in disguise, okay? So, and it's funny because my backing up a little, my Monroe Elementary, I lived like, okay, so you leave the apartments, you cross the street and you walk down another street, and that's how, and I walked all the way down. That's where my middle elementary school was, like maybe a 5-10 minute walk. So, and my middle school, Pachapa Middle School, was like a 5-10 minute walk. So I was blessed enough to live in close proximity of my school, of all the schools I went to. So back to what happened in middle school, getting up to high school, right? I'm 13 years old in the 9th grade, okay? 13, right? My birthday's in October. The school year started in September. I turned 13 in the 9th grade. I was 13 years old in the 9th grade. So I started getting picked on again. You know, I didn't even go to class. I didn't go to class, okay? So I wasn't going to class, and then I just got fed up. And, you know, I told the principal that I wanted to jump off a bridge. And I never did anything. I didn't try to kill myself, you guys, but I just got fed up with the bullying. And my mom, honestly, I'm going to be honest, my mom, I love her, God rest her soul, but I just felt like she was on their side. She wasn't really coming to the school. You know, after this incident, she did, but I wrote a suicide note to the principal. I said I wanted to jump off a bridge, and I was sent to a, you know, mental wherever, whatever, 48-hour hold. I didn't do anything, though. And, you know, my mom was mad because she's like, you can't tell. And I'm not racist, you guys, but this is what she said in her words. I'm just going to be honest. She said, you can't tell these white people this. You can't be saying you want to kill yourself because they will take you seriously and have you arrested and locked up or whatever. It's whatever. Anyways, so, and I felt at that moment, they asked me, did I want to say goodbye to her? I said no, and I just went back to my room. I didn't want to speak to her at all. I was very upset at her because how could your daughter is being bullied and contemplating suicide, and you're not even really supportive. Okay, my mom didn't understand. That's how far that's where I was at, you know, and we didn't have a mother-daughter relationship, so it is what it is, you guys. I was really hurt that she wasn't really, you know, there for me at that point. Your daughter's contemplating suicide and you're not even, you know, it is what it is. But when I got out, you know, she's talking about she wanted to sue the school, you know, because I was being bullied and they weren't doing, nobody was doing anything about it. Some of the teachers were laughing, and I don't think that, like, really, that's not cool. So I ended up getting transferred to Arlington High School, where I actually graduated. I graduated in 2003, June 10th of 2003. I was 17. When I went to Riverside Community College, I was still 17. And then this was in 2002. So the same year I graduated, September of that year, in 2002, I went to Riverside Community College, okay? Then a couple months later, my mom started getting stomach pains or whatever. So she went to the doctor and they took a piece of her liver. Come to find out she has cancer. And I was 17 years old at the time. Okay. I found out she had cancer. Okay. I'm 17. You know, I didn't really know how to process it. I'm 8. And then I graduate high school, go to college, you know, we end up moving to San Bernardino, California, and then my niece ends up moving in with us. And then, you know, we both go to the doctor with her, and we find out it's stage 4 cancer, and they're going to have to do chemo. And at this point, I'm still just like not even knowing how to really process all this. Mind you, I'm 19 years old. I just found out my mom has stage 4 cancer. I'm 19 years old finding out my mom has stage 4 cancer, went to chemo, all of it, okay? So, fast forward to the following year, 2005, she goes to the doctor, and I guess they told her it was her last stages of living because she didn't tell me nothing. She had a very solemn look on her face when she came home. She didn't even speak to me. She didn't tell me really anything. But I did see her last will and testimonial. I saw, she was looking at pictures of all of us. And, they sent a nurse over to the house, and they were giving her these orange pills. I guess it was to help with the pain. And I had to watch my mom get skinnier and skinnier. I saw her rib cage. That's how skinny she was, you guys. I had to watch her in pain. So that was not very easy for me. Okay, mind you, I'm only 19. I don't have a job. I don't know how to drive. I don't know how to take care of myself really at this point. I'm 19 at this point, right? So October 13th, my birthday comes around, right? She calls me. She sings to me. At this point, I'm actually staying with my aunt because my mom was in and out of the hospital. Was in the hospital getting chemo, and I was staying with my aunt at the time. So she called me October 13th, 2005 on my birthday and sang happy birthday to me. 5 days later, October 18th, I woke up. I was asleep. I gave her medicine that night. Woke up. I was asleep and I heard someone scream my name. I was dead asleep, you guys, and someone screamed my name. I woke up. I jolted up out of my sleep. I went to the bathroom. I didn't see her in the bathroom. I went in the living room. She was laying on the floor. Sometimes she would lay on the floor because her body, she'd be in pain, so it would help her a little bit more. But she was laying on her side, right? So I walked in the living room and I said, Mom, it's time, you got to get up. And she didn't say nothing. So I turned around and I turned the light on. And I said, Mom, still nothing. I walked over to her and I turned her body and I heard a crack, like something just broke, like a creaking noise or something. And it scared me. And I started screaming. I started saying her name, Mom, Mom. And I started crying. I was screaming. My niece ran in the room. And we called 911. When the paramedics got there, they checked her. They said, unfortunately, we're sorry, but she's passed away. So I'm in complete shock. I'm 19 years old. My mom just passed away. Well, not 19. I'm 20. Sorry, 20 years old. 5 days after my 20th birthday, my mom passed away. I'm 20 years old. I don't have a car. I don't know how to drive. I don't have a job. I'm basically being pawned off to one of my family members to take care of me. I'm 20 years old, right? So I had to learn. When my mom passed away, there's things she told me not to do, like not to trust any of my family members, because they showed me who they really were after she passed away. It was all about money. They wanted money in order to help me. So there was not really any money anyway. So it's like, you know what? They showed their true colors. So, this is 2005. So 2006, August of 2006, I find out I'm pregnant. I'm 20 years old, okay? I find out I'm pregnant with my oldest son. This is my oldest son. I was pregnant. I find out at 5 months. I think August, July. So yeah, I find out that I'm having a boy. I'm 21 years old. My first child. This is my first child ever. I don't know what I'm doing. His dad was not really around at all. He didn't even believe that I was having a boy or that I was pregnant. He thought I was trying to pin a pregnancy on him, which I was not. So I had my son, and that actually helped because you guys have no idea how numb I was to my mom passing away. I went out and did things that I should not have done, but that is what resulted in me having my son. I don't regret having my son. I love my son very much. He's my oldest son. I always will love him. I don't regret having him at all. Okay, but that's not how you deal with grief, in my opinion. People deal with grief in different ways, but I dealt with it in a way that I should not have. But I'm grateful that I have my son because he helped heal a hole in my heart that I didn't think would ever go away, would ever heal. And he healed it because he looks so much like my mom when he smiles. It used to trip me out. It still does, because every time he smiles, he looks just like her, So I had him in 2007, April 14th of 2007. And then I got into my first real relationship. in 2010. I'm not going to mention his name, but we were in a relationship for 4 years. He was still legally married, which I should not have even entered into a relationship with him, but it is what it is. He was verbally abusive, and he choked me, and he tried to rape me. Now, he will say he didn't, but I'm just going to be honest with you guys. He did, okay? So we were together for 4 years. I got out of that relationship because I got tired of the verbal abuse. I got tired of the cheating, so I got out of that relationship. And I didn't have any kids with him. He had 2 kids. I had my son. So I was with him from 2010 all the way up for 4 whole years, all the way up to 2013, I believe, 14. So we were together for 4 years. I broke up with him. Even though he'll say he broke up with me, I dumped him. Okay, I was done over it. So, and then in 2017, I met someone else. I'm not going to say his name, but, you know, that only lasted a year and a half. And then in 2019, I met my husband. He was my boy. We met at the Well of the Desert. That's where people go if you need help with food, clothing, shelter, a job, stuff like that. So I was doing the Obama phones at the time that I met him, okay? I'm not going to say his name either, but I met my husband at the time. We started talking. We started doing the cell phones together, and then we started dating, okay? We were dated before we got married, okay? We were friends first. So we dated, and then we started dating in August of 2020 all the way up until, until we got married. So 2022, I forgot what month he proposed to me, but it was in 2021 when he proposed to me, okay? And we got married June 1st of 2022. And then I actually got off the Depo shot. I was on the Depo shot up until we started dating, and I got off the Depo shot because I wanted us to start trying to have, work on having a kid. This is after he proposed to me, so we started working on having a baby. So then June 1st is when we got married. August 15th is when I found out I was pregnant. Okay? No, July 15th. I'm sorry. July 15th of 2022, the month after we got married, I found out I was pregnant with my son, Cassiel. My second son, Cassiel. Okay? So when March 3rd comes around, okay, now I have gestational diabetes at this time. I find out about gestational diabetes. Find out he's measuring small. When I'm 35 weeks, they want to deliver him. Okay, now you're supposed to wait till you're 40 weeks, at least 38, 39 weeks before you deliver, because then that means the baby has a fighting chance, okay? And everything's fully developed, okay? Lungs are not fully developed. They're developed, but they need more help developing, more time to develop, okay? So 35 weeks comes around, I end up being induced, I have him, he's not breathing when he comes out. Okay, not breathing. They have to get him breathing. They resuscitate him. They put a tube down his throat. I only hold him for maybe 1 to 2. Maybe 1 to 2 minutes. I hold him and they rush him off to the NICU. So Cassiel was in the NICU for 2.5 weeks, you guys. It felt like a month, but luckily I was doing Uber Eats at the time and Uber Eats because I had to distract myself, because you guys have no idea how heartbreaking it was to come home, see an empty crib, an empty car seat, an empty stroller. Not being able to use those things the way I needed to. Empty bassinet, empty crib, empty car seat, But I stuck it out. Yes, I cried. I was really upset. I didn't like seeing him with all those tubes in his mouth. But he got off the breathing machine really quickly. Because first it was a tube in his throat, and then he went to the one in his nose, and then eventually he got off of it. Very quickly, actually. So he's a fighter. I honestly say that he's a fighter. He's our miracle baby, honestly. And then we finally got to bring him home. He was still small. He was still skinny. But eventually he started gaining weight. And they did tell us, because he was born prematurely, that he is going to be a little delayed. He is now 3 years old. He is healthy, but he's still not talking. But he talks a little bit. We understand everything. We understand him, but he doesn't really use words yet, okay? Now that's Cassiel, okay? So fast forward to a couple months after I had Cassiel. I got on 2 weeks after I had him, the same week I had him, I got on the Depo shot. And then maybe 5 months, 6 months later, I got off of it because we were going to try for a girl. We were trying for a baby, and then I ended up getting pregnant in January of 2024 with our son Altier Kai Briere. Now that everything was going smoothly, right? Up until I turned 3 months, 3.5 months, I started noticing I was bleeding. And I'm talking about period blood clotting, okay? TMI if you can't stand that, but I have to tell you guys. So bleeding, blood clotting. Now, my doctor said that's old blood exiting the uterus. That's not the case. That's not what it was. Okay, that's not what it was, you guys. So I went to the emergency room to find out what was really going on because it didn't stop, you know. So I went to the emergency room. I had to wait for like almost an hour, it felt like. Then the nurse calls me into a private room and she says, when was the last time you had an ultrasound? Or when was the last time you were seen? And I told her the week before, and she said, well, I'm sorry to tell you that there's no heartbeat. And I was like, what do you mean there's no heartbeat? There was a heartbeat the week before, and I find out there's no heartbeat. Mind you, this is another boy. I found out it was a boy. Okay, so there was no heartbeat, and I just couldn't process. I was just devastated, you guys. You know, I was really devastated. I didn't want to tell my husband, you know, because when it comes to grief hits me like a ton of bricks, and I have to really allow myself to grieve. And this was so heartbreaking and heart-wrenching that I didn't even know what to do. Like I was, you know, and then I started having cramps, and the next day I went to Eisenhower Medical Center, and then I started bleeding a lot more, and then he came out fully in his sac. People were asking us, did we want to keep it? I was like, no. But that was a very hard, you know, it was very difficult. I had to wash out the pants I was wearing the next morning because I really liked those pants. I kept them too, but they had blood in them. And I had to wash I literally had to get down on my hands and knees, put my pants in the tub, and watch the blood drain out of my pants. And I was crying, leaning over the tub, crying, because I felt like it was my fault, you know, because at the time, you know, I was not exercising, okay? So I felt like it was something I did, you know, but I come to find out miscarriages are caused by a genetic abnormality, which means that there's something wrong with the baby. There's nothing wrong with you. It's something wrong with the baby. Something didn't grow properly, and your body immediately rejects it. And that's the one thing I love about that is that God designed women in a way for us to be able to do things that men can't do. Your body notices something wrong and it expels it immediately. And yes, it was traumatizing, but I'm grateful that, you know, and I wouldn't have wanted him to be born with any health problems, you guys. So yes, it was traumatic, but I did not want him to be here with all those problems. And I still celebrate. May 7th is when it happened, 2024. May 7th is when he passed away, when the heartbeat stopped. And then that's the day that I found out. So I label it May 7th as his death day. And then October 26, 2024, he would have been born. So October 13th is my birthday. October 18th is when my mom passed away. October 26th would have been his birthday. So every year on October 26th, I'm going to celebrate his birthday. I'm just going to say happy birthday every year because it's something to celebrate, you know, even though he's not here. You know, he would want me, one second, you guys, he would want me to celebrate. Okay, he would want me to do that. Okay. So I told my husband, I said I did not want to try again until after the October passed. So late October is when I got off the Depo shot. I got on the Depo shot after that happened. Then I got back. Then I got off of it. So May, I don't know what day Mother's Day is on, but the day before Mother's Day, I found out that I was pregnant. I took a pregnancy test. Because before that, I was taking tests and it was negative, negative, negative. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give this to God. I said, God, if it's in your will for me to have this baby or be pregnant, your will be done. And I left it in his hands and I just started testing for my cycle to come. And it didn't come. So I took a pregnancy test and it was a faint line. And I was like, this is a joke. This has to be a joke. I told my husband, I said, I'm pregnant. He's like, he's like, no, you're not. You're lying. Tell me you're not joking, right? Showed him the test. He saw the line. He said, you need to go to the clinic just to make sure. So Mother's Day, the next day, Sunday, was a Saturday I took the test. The next day was Mother's Day. Went to the clinic and sure enough, pregnant. So this is our rainbow baby. Okay. Lowell was our rainbow baby. Now, I did have gestational diabetes with him. I got to 39 weeks with him. Thankfully, I made it to 39 weeks. They induced me. And he was born 7 pounds, 11 ounces. He did have low blood sugar and jaundice. He had to stay in the NICU for 2 days. I was in the hospital from Tuesday, January 13th, all the way up until, so 14th was Wednesday, 15th was Thursday, Friday, 16th. So January 17th of 2026 of this year, I was in the hospital up until for 5 days, okay? I was admitted on January 13th. He was born on January 15th. And then I stayed in the hospital 2 days after that because I thought he was going to be coming home. But he came home on Sunday the following day. And, I just thank God for that. I thank God for him because, there are so many things that happened. I have 4 brothers. I have a brother named Bruce. He passed away in 2018 from lung cancer, apparently. But I think that because when my mom passed away, he couldn't really handle it. So he really had a mental breakdown, and he just started doing hardcore drugs. And when I say hardcore, I mean heroin, cocaine. Because my family members were telling me they saw him. He was talking to himself. And marijuana does not make you do that, I don't think. So, because he did smoke marijuana too. And I'm just going to, lay it out there for you guys. So I found out that he passed away the day before Thanksgiving of 2018. So mind you, 4 brothers. One that passed away. My second brother, oldest brother, who actually came to my wedding, he walked me down the aisle along with my brother Stacy, who walked me down the aisle. So both of my brothers, my oldest brother and my youngest brother, walked me down the aisle. Well, not youngest. He's 15 years older than me, so he's 15 years older than me. Stacy and Benny walked me down the aisle at my wedding, okay? So Benny passed away. My second oldest brother, he ended up getting cancer, okay? I guess it reached all major organs, and there was nothing they could do, and he was really skinny. And I didn't really notice it until I watched my wedding video, and I noticed how skinny he was. I was like, oh my God, he's skinny. So he had stage 4 cancer. And he passed away, I think, a couple days after I had my son, Cassiel. So 2023. And then my husband's father also passed away 2 weeks before Cassiel was born. So we lost 2 people in the same year. So 2023 was the year I lost my brother, and my husband lost his dad. So I'm no stranger to loss, you guys. I lost my aunt in 2011 to brain cancer. So I had 2 brothers. Now, Mark was my other brother. He was schizophrenic. He had a tumor in his throat, passed away in October of 2024. I did not know he passed away. I was called by my nephew. My nephew's mom told me, and then my other nephew told me. His son, Benny's son, the one who passed away in 2023, my nephew told me that my brother Mark passed away. So I'm no stranger to loss, you guys. And the reason I said that this video was inspired by Thais is because she shared her story. And we suffered loss, So if you guys don't know what her story is, go watch her YouTube channel. Her YouTube channel is Thais Johnson. Go watch her video, and you'll find out the loss she suffered. But she suffered loss, and, her story inspired me to do this video, because sorry, you guys. I said I was going to do this without crying. Yeah, sorry. Oh my God. Okay. So, I'm trying not to cry. I miss my mom, you guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. I do miss her. I miss my brothers. I miss my son out here. I know it wasn't my fault that he passed away, but I blame myself. And I was in a deep, dark depression. You guys just don't know. That's why I didn't make any videos during that time, because I was in a very dark place when he passed away. Very dark. And but I have 3 beautiful boys, 3 beautiful boys. And death is a part of life. Death is not fun to deal with. Grief is not fun to deal with because everyone grieves in their own way. But I'm still dealing with it. Every year, my Christmas time was the year that me and my mom celebrated, you guys. It was just Christmas lights. I couldn't, ever since she passed away, up until maybe last year, I couldn't look at a Christmas light without getting mad because I wanted my mom here to celebrate Christmas with me. And I hated Christmas because of that. I didn't want to celebrate. I hated Christmas lights, Christmas trees, anything Christmas related. I hated it because every year Christmas, my mom was there to make Christmas dinner, was there to watch me open my gifts, and now she's not here. And I can't sit here and do that anymore. I have to be grateful for the family that I do have and celebrate for them. I have 2 beautiful boys. My son is 18. He doesn't, we don't really celebrate. He doesn't really, Christmas is not for him anymore, really. He's 18, so he's like, But I have a 2-year-old and I have a 2-month-old, so I'm going to celebrate for them, And I'm doing a lot better now. I actually see Christmas lights now and I smile. It just brings back memories, But sorry, you guys. I was trying not to cry. But yeah, I've suffered a lot of losses. My aunt, my mom, my aunt. I never met my grandmother. She passed away before I was born. I actually have 2 aunts. One passed away before I was born. It was an accident. A bullet went through the wall and hit her in the head, and she passed away from that. It was an accident. There's people outside, I guess, from what my mom told me, they were playing with guns, and a bullet came through the wall, and it struck her in the head, and she passed away from that. So I never got to meet my aunt. I have 2 aunts. I got to meet my other aunt, but the other one I didn't get to meet. My grandma passed away before I was born. So I'm no stranger to loss. I deal with it differently now. I don't like dealing with it. I don't like hearing when someone passes away. I don't really, it breaks my heart when I hear someone's loved one passed away, but death is a part of life. It does suck. It does. I'm just going to be honest with you. When my mom died, I was in a deep, dark depression. I actually went out and started having sexual activity and doing things I shouldn't have done. Luckily, that by the grace of God, I didn't catch an STD. I'm grateful for that because I was getting tested. I didn't catch an STD, and that is how I got my. By doing that, that's how I got my son. But I'm grateful for my son. I'm grateful for all my kids. Altier is still my son. I still have four kids altogether. Just because he's not here does not mean he's not my son. He will always be my son. And I will always say I have 4 kids, okay? That's why this last pregnancy was really, really, it took a toll on me, I'll be honest with you, because I actually got the epidural, but it wore off. When I was 10 centimeters, it wore off. And I felt everything. When I was pushing, I felt him come out. I felt them numb me up to stitch. I had a 1st-degree tear. I felt them poke me with the needle down there and stitch me up. I felt it. So, and I just stopped having my postpartum bleeding too. Okay, 8 weeks. I was not bleeding a lot, but it's just now stopped for eight weeks, you guys. Okay, so it took a toll on my body. I've been pregnant a total of 4 times. I think it's time to just, people don't believe me. They think I'm joking or lying when I say I'm not having another kid. I wanted a girl, yes, but God blessed me with 4 boys. So I feel that it's just thank you, God, for the 4 boys he did give me, and I'm grateful, and I'm 40 years old now. I don't want no more kids. I think it's safe to say that I'm done. I'm on the Depo shot right now. I'm on birth control, so I'm not having no more kids. I know I love the kids I do have. I'm good, I want to exercise and get my weight down and eat healthy, and so I can be here for them. Diabetes I was gestational diabetic. I don't want to get diabetes. Diabetes is not something to play around with. Okay? There's, my cousin has it and my grandma had it. She passed away. She was obese and she had diabetes. Okay? So she passed away, and my cousin, I think he's still alive. I haven't spoken to him in years, but he has diabetes. I don't know what type he is. I just know that he had to poke his finger. I think it's 4 times a day or 3 times a day, something like that. But I always see him do it, and I never knew what it was, and he told me. I was like, wow, But the thing is, he would always eat chocolate cake. When my mom made chocolate cake, he knew he wasn't supposed to eat it, and he always did, and his sugar would spike. His blood sugar spiked. So you know what? Poking my finger every 4 times a day, I didn't like doing that either. I hated it when I was pregnant, and I also had to give myself insulin. I had to poke myself in the stomach, you guys. I had to do that with Castiel when I was pregnant with him. And I didn't like it. Now, when I was pregnant with him, I had more room on my stomach because I was a lot less further along. So you'd poke yourself with the needle around your stomach, around your belly button, right? But when I got tested for gestational diabetes, I was further along and I didn't have any room. So I pinched the side of my stomach fat and poked myself with the needle that way. And yes, sometimes I poked myself and it hurt. But you know what? I did what I had to do to make sure my son was going to be okay. No, I didn't like doing that. It's like giving yourself a freaking shot. I didn't like doing that. You know, I hated it, but I did it. You know, so yeah, I didn't mean to cry, you guys. I apologize for that, but I had to get it out, you know. I knew I was going to cry. That's why I told you, Thais, to get your tissue, you know. Because I do miss my mom. I do cherish your mom because you never know. You know, you never know. And everyone who has their mom still, love on them every day. Tell them you love them. Tell them thank you. You know, just spend time with them as much as you can. Because you never know, okay? You never know. Tomorrow's never promised to us. It never is. So you guys need to take the time you have with your parents and love them, appreciate them, no matter what, okay? And Thais, you're like the big sister I never had, and I really, truly love you, and I appreciate you. And thank you so much for sharing your story. This inspired me to share mine, and I know there's tears, but you know what? They're happy tears. I'm so grateful to have met you, and I love you, and we're sisters now. So, yeah. But thank you guys. I hope you like this video. Like, share, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you'll always be notified every time I upload a new video. I hope this inspires someone to tell their story, because you know what, you guys, it might change. It might help somebody. You never know. It might, you know, help someone. So, yeah, that's my story, and I hope you guys liked it. Take care.